Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 4 o'clock.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. The number of Americans filing new applications for jobless benefits increased sharply last week, consistent with a material softening in labor market conditions. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits jumped 27,000 to a seasonally adjusted 263,000 for the week ending September 6. According to the Labor Department Thursday, the government said this week that non-farm payrolls could have been overstated by 911,000 jobs in the 12 months through March. The Elmhurst Park Board is putting to rest for the time being the summer-long dispute over whether to build a band shell at Wilder Park. On Monday, members agreed to spend up to $12,000 for more design work for the proposed band shell. The board's vote was 6-1, with the board's president, Kevin Graff, the lone dissenter. With its vote, the board is asking its consultants to draft plans for the 3 sites at Wilder: the lawn east of the mansion, the north rim of the old ice rink, and the rink's south rim. In late May, board members discussed the location with 4, including Graff favoring the east lawn and 3 others opposing it. That set off a local movement against the East Lawn site, with residents saying the band shell would interrupt the sight lines to the iconic mansion. A lawyer turned herself into the DuPage County Jail in late August following accusations that she falsified community service hours on documents for her client. 30-year-old Devin Luster is accused of delivering documents to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office that falsely showed a client had completed community service hours. She was charged with 6 counts of felony forgery. An indictment asserts that Luster, quote, with the intent to defraud, knowingly delivered to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office a false document apparently capable of defrauding another, being a volunteer community service documentation form dated December 16, 2024, that indicated the client completed 247 and a half hours of community service at a Calumet City daycare facility. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
From the pages of the Elgin newspapers of 100 years ago today, these are the headlines brought to you by the Elgin History Museum.
I'm Nick Freeman, and here's what was happening in Elgin, our fair city, on September 15th, 1925. Elgin police and firemen hold the center of the baseball stage in Elgin tomorrow afternoon when the baseball teams from each department hook up in their annual combat at the South End Field. The starting time has been fixed at 2:30 o'clock. The game is annually staged for the benefit of the Police and Firemen's Pension Fund and is preceded by weeks of hard practice on the part of both nines. Rivalry between the players and members of the two departments is unusually keen, and a bitterly contested battle is looked for. Prizes have been donated by Elgin merchants, including, from the Elgin Cleaners and Dyers, a suit cleaned and pressed for the player who scores.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, sunny with a high near 86, temperatures falling to around 82. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 59. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 85, temperatures falling to around 81 in the afternoon. Currently, it is 84 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Ariel. I moved to the U.S. at 19. I spoke no English and I struggled finding job opportunities. Everything I have, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and getting my high school diploma at age 22.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, America, and good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show here on WRMN. That's right, this is WRMN 1410 on that AM dial. And of course, WRMN1410.com is where you can listen live or find that link directly to our YouTube channel where you can watch live. WRMN1410.com. That's the place to go. Thank you for being here. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. I am the host and moderator of a political talk show. Host mostly throughout the week. Moderation on Free Speech Friday. Listen to those. That's one of my favorite days where we bring on a multitude of people from different political platforms. We bring people on that are centered, people who are on the left, on the right, libertarians, liberals, Republicans, conservatives. We try to get as many voices to the panel as possible. And it's not just to talk about the news of the week, also to play a little bit of some political games. I like doing that. Play a few things here or there. Is it in the Constitution? Grievances in the Declaration of Independence? Is that a law? Things like that. So listen to those Free Speech Fridays. They are on the YouTube channel as well. So today's discussion is something that I've been working on for quite a while, especially since the book 107 Days is coming out, has come out, etc., from the ex-Vice President Kamala Harris. And in that, and we're starting to see some of the reports that are coming out too of who really made the decision for running, whether it was Joe or Jill Biden, the staff, Harris, the party, all of these different things. And we're starting to see more and more things come out. So this was something that I've been raving about ever since we started to see, we started to actually see Biden's health deteriorate and his decline in general. The other side of it was some of the campaign promises that Biden had put together, not from necessarily a policy standpoint, but from a bridge or a transitional standpoint that him, the campaign, everybody had talked about from a populist perspective. There were a lot of young people at the time that went behind that side. And if you look at it just chronologically, when the Democratic Party in 16 said, no, young people, you're going to vote for Clinton, Donald Trump won. When the Democrats turned around and said, this will be a transition side, the incumbents will go away, we'll have a new leadership, everything else, starting to kind of change the system, not having the people who are normally there institutionalized. They won. Then, once again, they turned around. The Democratic Party said, no, you're going to vote whoever we tell you to vote, and you see that they lost again. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss some of the promises that were made, some of the promises that never came to fruition, some of the promises that maybe they were intending to keep, but they ran out of time because they extended the time. With the way that I understood the Biden presidency, it was going to be a transition. It was going to be a bridge. It was going to be a changing of the guard, right? They wanted this disruption. And so in that swing of youth populism, starting in 2018 and going to 2020 and seeing the growth of that, they didn't capitalize on it. They decided to have the incumbency ride the wave of anti-incumbency, which is still biting the Democratic Party in their butt right now. Because I believe, again, just like I believe that the other party, they don't believe the word that they actually connect their party with. The Republican Party is more of a libertarian than it is Republican, and it's a messy situation. But when you start looking at the universal executive theory, or you start looking at things like that, that is directly anti-republic. Checks and balances, branches, separation of power, things like that, that's Republican view. And I believe that the Republican Party doesn't have that. Now, they may have the size of small government or whatever else they want to do, but I don't believe that they fully believe in the checks and balances. Just like I don't believe the Democratic Party, which is what we're focusing on today. I don't believe that they necessarily believe in the democracy that they speak about. If they would have, then they would be doing a lot more things that are more of the populist side, because that's what democracy is, right? It's supposed to be the majority. It's supposed to be the populist perspective. And if you're not following that, then are you truly a Democratic Party? Despite what your primaries will say, despite what your actual constituents want, you are the one telling them how to vote. And to me, that doesn't seem very democratic. So in 2020, Joe Biden won the presidency not only by contrasting himself with Donald Trump, but presenting his candidacy as a bridge to the new generation, almost his exact words. At key campaign moments, he described himself as a transition candidate. We didn't see much of the transition. And he also showed himself as someone who would stabilize the political landscape and then hand off the leadership to the rising figures like Harris or Buttigieg or Whitmore or any of the other people that were standing behind him. For the millennials and the Gen Z voters who turned out in record numbers that year, this promise of generational renewal actually carried weight. 4 years later, however, that promise remained largely unfilled. Biden resought election. Harris's role was constrained the entire time, and the younger voters grew increasingly skeptical that anything was actually going to get done. Surveys continued to show declining trust in government, especially among the under 30 electorate. And many have drifted towards more populist movements. Whether it's the left or the right populist, that's where they're moving towards. And those left or right populist movements appear more authentic or even disruptive. Even if they're not authentic, even if they're not here to rejuvenate or anything else, they're still here to buck the system that's not working for the people. So today we're going to discuss the gap between the promise and the delivery that reshaped that youth vote and what it means for American democracy going forward. So if you like things like that, wherever you're listening, like and subscribe or leave a comment down. A great way if you're on the radio to leave a comment or anything like that is just send us a text. 505-926-1410, 505-926-1410. Shoot us a message. Hands-free, by the way, please use that 10 and 2 if you're driving. But if you're sitting around in your kitchen, you're sitting around at the office waiting for the traffic to die down, something like that, here 15 after, go ahead and send us that message, 505-926-1410. My name is Dennis Green. Apolitical Talk Show will be right back after this.
Have you heard of what's happening in Hampshire this September?
You mean America's First Responders Fest? Oh yeah, it's going to be huge.
That's right. Saturday, September 20th from 1 to 6 p.m., downtown Hampshire will be alive with music, food, and fun, all to honor our incredible first responders.
And we're not just talking about police and fire. This celebration includes nurses, EMTs, and everyone who's the backbone of emergency services.
And we here at WRMN will be broadcasting live, plus stage presentations and a special first responders recognition ceremony.
And check out this entertainment lineup: Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones, Mixed Company Band, and Canyon Arrow Light featuring Tim and Joe.
And don't forget that classic car show presented by Gilbert's Eagles Club 1047, along with vendor booths, food trucks, and plenty of kids' activities. For more information, give us a call here at WRMN's office line. That's 847-741-7700. Or check out our website at WRMN1410.com.
We hope to see you there.
There's a price war in the insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call the Term Lifeline right now and see if you can save 40%. $500,000 plans and up, that's our specialty. Even great smokers' rates. Protect your family today. Call the Term Lifeline right now for a free quote. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM. 866-509-TERM.
Start your weekend right with Dino's Night Out, Fridays from 2 to 4 p.m. on WRMN 1410 AM. Dino covers what's hot across the Fox Valley, from live shows to food fests and everything in between. Proudly sponsored by the legendary Arcada Theater at 105 East Main Street in St. Charles. Your home for unforgettable concerts, comedy, and more. Tune in on WRMN 1410 AM or stream at WRMN1410.com. Dino's Night Out, your guide to the weekend vibe.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids right here in our own backyard are facing hunger every day? Without healthy food, it's harder to grow, to thrive, to feel their best.
The impact when children don't have enough to eat is tremendous because when you're hungry and your basic needs aren't being met, you cannot learn.
Every child deserves to be fed. This is a problem we know how to solve. Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love.
Breakfast in the classroom contributes to kids being more focused, which leads to higher grades, and simply just their well-being.
Thank you! Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
Welcome back to Apolitical Talk Show on WRMN. You find it on a few other places as well. Podcasted on your favorite podcasting platform. Just type in Apolitical Talk Show. All 4 words. and you'll find us over there. Let's travel back to 2020. Campaign that captured the essence of Joe Biden's pitch to the American electorate. And why are we talking about this? Well, because there's a new book, 107 Days, coming out. Kamala Harris is spilling a little bit of tea, or at least some of the ones that she will be enough for the establishment to still be able to accept her as a candidate. I don't know if she'll run for president again or not. I doubt it. But at a rally in Detroit, March 9th, 2020, with Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Gretchen Whitmer standing right behind him, Biden told the crowd, "Look, I view myself as a bridge, not as anything else. There's an entire generation of leaders you saw standing behind me. They are the future of this country." And this was more than a throwaway line. It became the framing device for Biden's entire campaign. He presented himself not as a new political project, but as a transitional leader, someone who would restore stability after Trump and then hand the reins to the next generation. For younger voters, particularly millennials and Gen Z, this promise resonated. The youth vote had long been dismissed as unreliable. But by 2020, it was beginning to matter in ways that political strategists could no longer ignore. And when I talk about the youth vote, I'm talking about the youth vote even in 16, right? 10 years ago, I was still part of the youth vote. So we want to examine how Biden's promise of generational handoff helped him win the youth vote, but why the failure to implement that turnover fueled the disillusionment, and how that disillusionment was pushed younger voters towards populist alternatives. And we'll discover and look at the statistical data of the youth turnout and take those direct quotes from her book. But let's begin with a baseline. Youth turnout in American elections. For decades, younger voters were treated as marginal players. Campaigns often assumed that they wouldn't even show up. And statistically, that assumption was not unfounded. In 2014 midterms, turnout among 18 to 29-year-olds was only 19%. That was the lowest in recorded modern American history. Compare that to voters over 65 who consistently turn out at rates above 60% in midterms. But starting in 2018, something shifted. According to Circle at Tufts University, the youth turnout in 2018 midterms jumped to 36%. Now, it's not the full 60% that the over 65 counterparts had, but it was almost double 14's rate. Then in 2020 presidential election, nearly 50% of eligible 18 to 29-year-olds voted, the highest youth participation in decades, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Who did they support? Well, Pew Research data showed that young voters favored Joe Biden over Donald Trump by a margin of 60 to 36%. Among young voters of color, the margin was even higher. Among white youth without degrees, however, the split was much closer, hinting at future volatility. So the youth vote was both mobilized and divided. But it was energized enough to matter, but not automatically lock into one party's column. Well, why does this matter? Well, because the swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, the youth turnout was decisive in pushing Biden over the top. Analysts have argued that without the surge in young voters, the 2020 map would have looked very differently. And now imagine a generation once dismissed as apathetic suddenly shows up in record numbers. It was that context in which Biden's promise of generational transition landed. But he didn't do anything with it. The generational rhetoric in 2020, at that Detroit rally in March, Biden cast himself as a bridge. The people standing behind him, Harris, Booker, Whitmore, were the future. He was the bridge that would carry the party and the nation from one era to another. Well, we're definitely in a different era. I don't know if he carried us as much as pushed us. But in late 2019 and early 2020, Biden described himself as, quote, a transition candidate. From the very beginning, he positioned himself as not wanting to be president forever. And not just turning around and saying, I don't want to be president. I want to hand it over. In August of 2020, he declared that his running mate is, quote, she's ready to do this job on day one. She's ready to lead this nation. And that was when everybody was asking about his health and what happens to him if the 25th Amendment needs to be invoked. Is Vice President Harris ready to take over? That statement of she's ready to lead this nation carried symbolic weight. Biden was not simply praising Harris's competence, he was reassuring the electorate that his vice president was prepared to inherit the presidency on day one. He said she was ready on day one. That if he needed to step down immediately, she could take over. And if he didn't think that, then he wouldn't have had this transitional type of thing of saying, if he would have said, well, you know what, she's a little rough around the edges, we'll bring her over and that's be the person that we'll transition to. No, he instilled confidence and said, this will be who's next. I'm a transition. She's the next leader. And then stuck her in a closet. Never brought her over. Didn't transition. Didn't keep his promise. Didn't say, here, American people, I'll show you that she's ready to do this job on day one by bringing her along with me. I will show you the transition by bringing her along with me. And I'm not saying that she would have been a better president, less better president, etc. All I know is that they did not keep their promises to her, and they did not keep their promises to us. Would it have been a different election? Maybe. She sure as hell would have had more than 107 days to do it. But that statement, she's ready to do this job on day one, Biden was not simply praising Harris's competence. He was telling us and reassuring us. So for young voters who wanted generational turnover, this was as close to a promise as one could get. In other remarks, Biden leaned into the theme. We need new voices. We need new perspectives. We need new leadership in this country. As part of my job is to help lift them up. The rhetoric pattern was consistent. Biden as a caretaker, Harris as heir apparent, and the Democratic Party as the vehicle for generational renewal. It worked. Young voters skeptical in the gerontocracy and fearful of Trump found reassurance in Biden's bridge. But what did they get? They got 107 days and fighting through the entire thing. When we come back, we're going to fast forward to the present. And Kamala Harris is going to publish a memoir, 107 Days, which reflects on the turbulent end of the Biden presidency. Her words reveal a striking disjunction between the 2020 promises and the lived reality of the administration. Did they leave it up to the Bidens to make the decision? Was it the Biden staffers that made the decision? Who wanted all 8 years instead of keeping the promise? We'll talk about that when we come back here on Apolitical Talk Show.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. The Elmhurst Park Board is putting to rest for the time being the summer-long dispute over whether to build a band shell at Wilder Park. On Monday, members agreed to spend up to $12,000 for more design work for the proposed band shell. The board's vote was 6-1, with the board's president, Kevin Graff, the lone dissenter. With its vote, the board is asking its consultants to draft plans.
Hey, Jeff, it's good to see you there, buddy. Thanks for being there over there on the YouTube side of the world. Let us know if there's anything you guys want to talk about. I'm going to be talking about the headlines and things like that here in the second hour. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about, hop it right there in chat. I think I've got the text line open up too. 505-926-1410 is the way to go. I think you can leave voicemails too, and I will see the transcription. So let me know what you think. Also, Wednesday is Constitutional Day, the day of the Constitution being born, September 17th. So, and then I think the 19th is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. So if you want to celebrate that, that's another one. That's coming up. That'll be Friday. Okay, Free Speech Friday will have that. We're still walking down the Biden-Harris or Harris-Walz switch. And then the second hour, we're going to go over the news. So I'm gathering a couple of things like that. So stick around, listen here on the YouTube side, or you're welcome to switch over to any of the other audio streams that we've got. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye.
Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill, but you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because, again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Are you dreaming of a getaway? Want to leave the stress of daily life behind? Whether it's a relaxing cruise or an adventurous land escape, planning the perfect vacation doesn't have to be a hassle. At Cruises International, they specialize in vacation destinations, land and sea, making your dreams come true. Located at 1721 Moon Lake Boulevard in Hoffman Estates, Cruises International isn't just about booking travel. They're your personal concierge, trusted travel advisor, and advocate. Your preferences are unique, and they'll take the time to understand exactly what you're looking for. From personalized service to their global network of specialists, they ensure that your vacation is tailor-made just for you. It's time to plan the vacation of a lifetime. Call 800-255-7447. That's 800-255-7447 today and speak to a cruise and vacation expert. Cruises International. It's time to set sail to your dream destination.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, sunny with a high near 86, with temperatures falling to around 82. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 59. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 85, with temperatures falling to around 81 in the afternoon. Currently, it is 84 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Welcome back to a political talk show here on WRMN. WRMN 1410 on that dial, WRMN1410.com. We're talking about Vice President Harris's reflections in 107 days, a new book that came out, where they're actually able to talk a little bit more about it. I think what was happening at the time of the election side of it, right? We were talking about the timetable of when is the transition. And to me, I did not think that Joe Biden should have run in any kind of way. He ran on a transitional side. He ran on a bridge side. He ran on all of those things. And he should have just started handing over the reins to anybody, whether it was Harris or if he didn't like Harris, he didn't want to put Harris there, fine. Then he should have brought somebody else in. Should have turned around and said, okay, if that's not the person I want, if that's not the way that the party necessarily wants to go, let me start fostering somebody. But I think a lot of the people that were in Joe Biden's orbit had a lot of influence on him. And I don't think that there's most people that would argue with that statement in general, whether that was policy-wise or campaign-wise or whatever else. He had a lot of people talking to him. And what I think ended up happening was the slow churn of politics got to them. When you're in politics, everything moves so slow that you think you have time forever, and then all of a sudden you don't have any time at all. The hurry up and wait approach to government. We got to do everything really, really, really fast until it's time to not. And then everything's really, really slow. One of the two speeds. And so what I think happened was they decided that they were going to help President Biden do all 8 years. I don't know when they decided it. If I had to guess, it would probably be in 2022, somewhere around there, when President Trump was trying to campaign softly at the time. And I think they decided that. I think they put it together. In the memoir, 107 Days, Harris writes, "It's Joe and Jill's decision. We all said that, like a mantra, as if we'd all been hypnotized. It was grace, or was it grace, or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. The stakes were simply too high," and they were. From what the Democratic Party kept screaming about, the end of democracy, authoritarianism, never see America again. You know the rhetoric. I don't have to play you the greatest hits. But if it was so important to them, why then turn around and say, okay, it's up to the Bidens to decide? When it should have been up to the party, it should have been up to the constituents, it should have been up to everywhere. I even think if Joe Biden would have said, vote for me again, and I'll immediately start ushering in the next presidency, I think that would have been a stronger message again. But the message of, I want to be president, I want a legacy, we can't destroy what Biden has made, I think that narcissistic type of strategy, whether or not it was or otherwise, we can all claim altruism for anything we do. But I think at the end of the day, I think the career politicians won. And not just the career politicians themselves, the career politicians' staff won. Because a lot of the people that have been in Joe and Jill Biden's orbit for decades wanted just another 4 years. What's another 4 years? You've waited this long. I know you wanted change back in 2000. I know you wanted change back in 2016. I know you wanted change back in 2020. But I'll tell you, if you just wait until 2028, I know when you started preaching for change, you were in your 20s. And I know when we'll finally start to get to change, you'll be in your 40s. But you're young voters. You can wait. And as we saw, even with the numbers, it was the young voters that turned out. Harris acknowledges that the support handoff or supposed handoff never occurred. Instead, Biden chose continuity, not transition. He said, no, I and only me can save the republic. Problem is that's exactly what his competition was saying. Only I, only me, I can save the republic. Just like Nikki Haley said, I think it was the first person that doesn't put up an old white guy as a candidate will win. She says about her inner circle, Harris says about her inner circle, their thinking was zero sum. If she's shining, he's dimmed. None of them grasped that if I did well, he did well. The first off-ramp should have been, hey, we lost 2022. We're starting to lose the blue wave, the youth vote. Let me rejuvenate it by bringing in the next generation, just like I promised I would. Didn't. Okay, fine. I want to run for president. Run for president then. But as soon as you realize that you could not make it and could not be president, and more than likely we're going to once again force blue no matter who, people chose to stay home. At that moment, you should have looked right at Harris and said, bury me. Take everything bad that I have done, take the Bidenomics, take the open borders, take everything that everybody's mad at me about and tell them you're mad too. But they couldn't. They couldn't separate Harris from Biden because as soon as you said, I didn't want to do that, you were undermining Biden's legacy. Instead of elevating her as the successor, the team often viewed her as a success, as a threat. On the failure to defend her, Harris recounts that when damaging and unfair stories about her circulated, the administration frequently stayed silent. The symbolic day one readiness announced in 2020 was not backed up with structural support. Surprise, surprise, a politician lied to you. Biden got tired at 81, but, quote, From Harris, if I had believed he was incapacitated, I would have said so. This shows her loyalty, but also acknowledges the strains of the leadership. She says, my loyalty to Joe was real, but my loyalty to the country was higher. And if that was the case, then you would have said something. You can tell us all day that you didn't believe he was incapacitated or incapable. Probably not incapable of running the country, right? Could have done that, but could have been incapable of winning the election. And it was her decision to step in line instead of push. Now, do I think she would have been a better candidate? Do I think she would have been better than Donald Trump that's here? Again, it's all up to debate. I don't think we would be where we are now if she would have won. Somewhere different, I'm sure. But the fact that they campaigned in 2020 about the transition and did not deliver. What happens when a generation is promised renewal but experiences yet again more stagnation? The answer is disillusionment. Disillusionment often fuels populism. And I'm not saying populism is all bad, but populism is also mob rule in that pure democracy type of style. Surveys bear this out. Harvard Youth Poll in spring of 2023 found that trust in the government among young people had fallen below 40%. It was a sharp drop on the post-2020 optimism. Hey, Jose, good to see you out there, buddy. By 2024, Democratic support among young voters declined by 10 to 15 points in key swing states. In some places, the margins that Biden had relied on in 2020 simply evaporated. Why? Because the promise of generational turnover had never been broken. And it wasn't even the campaign's motto anymore. It was, I'm going to be president and you're going to like it. From both sides. I'm the only one who could win. I'm going to be president and I will fix this. Not let's work together. Not I'll tone down the rhetoric. Not I will give you a voice. Only I can fix it. Came from the mouths of both candidates. Transition never came. Jeff says he only believes in me. He writes in himself every time. The disillusionment opened the door for populist alternatives. On the left, young voters turned to candidates who emphasized climate action, student debt relief, labor rights, and these figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became symbols of authentic generational leadership. And what they do, they didn't give her the spot. They gave the spot to a guy who didn't survive the term. On the right, outsider populists of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement that gained traction by rallying against the establishment, both Democrat and Republican, both establishments. For some young voters, especially those alienated by cultural liberalism, these appeals resonated, especially thinking that the left had gone too far on the cultural side. We won't give you new generational stuff. What we'll do is we'll pander to you. We'll make you have identity politics. Instead of fiscal conservatism and liberal social movements like most of us here in the United States have. In the 2022 midterms, youth enthusiasm boosted progressive challengers in the Democratic primaries. In 2024, some young voters abstained while others defected to outsider candidates. Remember how they keep blaming the Green Party? or the Libertarian Party, Joe Manchin. Plenty of people to blame. They always tend to blame the voters. You didn't vote right. Not, we didn't campaign correctly. The lesson when the establishment fails to deliver on generational promises, populists of all stripes fill the vacuum. This raises troubling questions for the health of the system. When leaders frame themselves as bridges but then cling to power, young voters lose trust not only in those individuals but the institutions themselves. We've seen time and time again that when the youth show up, the youth are the president makers. With turnout rates approaching 50%, youth votes are now decisive. Losing them can swing entire elections. The other side of it is disillusioned youth and disillusioned voters in general are not predictable. They can rally behind progressive climate activists or even nationalist outsiders. The through line is authenticity and disruption, not ideology. Biden's transitional rhetoric intended to reassure young voters, and it may have backfired. Because by failing to enact it, he may have accelerated their alienation. The youth vote, once marginalized, is now decisive. It was mobilized by the promise of generational turnover, but when these promises didn't show up, Biden got there. Chat says, we are all hypocrites. I see that. And it says, yeah, I'm tired of the Democrats blaming everyone for their own problems. You're right. There's a lot of people that blame the other side for your problems. But we've had a Congress that hasn't been able to do anything forever. And when you end up with this stalemate, when you end up with this institutionalized deadlock, yes, it works for the people that have been elected, but it doesn't work for you and I. They don't pass reforms for us. Trust me, every time they show up to the floor, they don't get passed. But you know what does get passed? You know it gets passed. Budgets, more money to the military, less money from corporations. Those all get passed. I mean, we've been rocking the same tax code before the big, beautiful bill from 2017. The Democrats didn't do anything with their majority. Oh, Sodar, it was only a majority because of Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, and Kristen Sinema didn't do that thing. Okay, they just didn't go after the filibuster. They also didn't actively participate in bringing those issues to the floor because they had I hate it. I absolutely hate this side when the Speaker of the House does it, is they don't bring the bill to the floor unless they know that they're going to win it. They don't make a show of making people vote for things. Their whole side is having to vote for things. And so they won't bring it to the floor unless they know they're going to win. Now that's changed a little bit here and there. But Gingrich, Pelosi, none of them bring anything to the floor to be voted on unless they know the outcome. What I want is more things on the floor. We need to be able to turn around and look at our representation and say, you voted for this or you didn't vote for this. Why didn't you put this together? What they do is they bundle everything together so that they can vote for the good thing while stripping and doing the bad thing. And they can lean on it and say, what are you talking about? I passed the law for steak and ice cream on Fridays. But in that bill, it also has the punch you in the face on Tuesdays. Because they really wanted the punch you in the face on Tuesdays to get out there. They had to sprinkle in something good. Instead of bringing everything to the floor, I'm the same way with the budget. The same way that you see some of these conservatives and fiscal conservatives, like Massey or Paul. They want to have votes so that they can look at each other and say, you support this or you support that. This ambiguous, I support America, this rhetoric, this propaganda, this side of things, where it's all rhetoric with nothing behind it. This is what disillusionment looks like. As Harris says, the stakes were too high. This wasn't a choice that should have been left to an individual's ego. Like all things good for the republic, it should not be left to an individual's ego. Whether American democracy can keep the faith in its rising generation or whether it will continue to push them forward, the disruptive appeal of populism is always there. So why not have a populist that's actually going to do the things? 70% of us or greater want common sense gun control. Over 65% want the women's right to choose. The higher end of 70% want universal health care. Above 65% want housing reform. Why not actually be a populist? Why not actually listen to the people? Don't pretend. Don't pander. The reason we are losing faith in our government and in our democracy is because of the candidates. Those that run the parties. The candidates will promise and the candidates will take away and the candidates will give and the candidates will change. But the candidates will continue to feed the system that keeps them the candidates. It's this system that all of the parties have promised to dismantle and transition, but yet can never keep that promise. Eventually we will. Eventually it will change. Times they are a-changin'. Jump in over on the YouTube side of things. We got a great discussion over there. We're going to hit some more news. Stick around. More WRMN headed your direction.
At Britain's Touchless Car Wash, they know life gets busy. That's why they're here 24/7 to keep your car looking spotless, fast, and easy. Their advanced brush-free wash technology delivers a sparkling clean without a single scratch, because they treat your car like it's their own. Here's the best part. Right now, you can get a free car wash just for joining their text club. It's simple. Just text BRITT to 30400, and your first wash is on them. Britain's touchless car wash has 2 convenient locations, 1923 Larkin Avenue in Elgin and 555 Willow in West Dundee. They're proud to keep your car clean while giving back to our community. Text BRITT to 30400. That's BRITT to 30400. Now for your free car wash, and see why Britain's touchless car wash is the fast, gentle, and reliable choice.
Your hometown radio station since 1949. We are WRMN AM 1410, Elgin time, 5 o'clock.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. The number of Americans filing new applications for jobless benefits increased sharply last week, consistent with a material softening in labor market conditions. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits jumped 27,000 to a seasonally adjusted 263,000 for the week ending September 6. According to the Labor Department Thursday, the government said this week that non-farm payrolls could have been overstated by 911,000 jobs in the 12 months through March. The Elmhurst Park Board is putting to rest for the time being the summer-long dispute over whether to build a band shell at Wilder Park. On Monday, members agreed to spend up to $12,000 for more design work for the proposed band shell. The board's vote was 6-1, with the board's president, Kevin Graff, the lone dissenter. With its vote, the board is asking its consultants to draft plans for the 3 sites at Wilder: the lawn east of the mansion, the north rim of the old ice rink, and the rink's south rim. In late May, board members discussed the location with 4, including Graff favoring the east lawn and 3 others opposing it. That set off a local movement against the east lawn site, with residents saying the band shell would interrupt the sight lines to the iconic mansion. A lawyer turned herself into the DuPage County Jail in late August following accusations that she falsified community service hours on documents for her client. 30-year-old Devin Luster is accused of delivering documents to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office that falsely showed a client had completed community service hours. She was charged with 6 counts of felony forgery. An indictment asserts that Luster, quote, with the intent to defraud, knowingly delivered to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office a false document apparently capable of defrauding another, being a volunteer community service documentation form dated December 16, 2024, that indicated the client completed 247 and a half hours of community service at a Calumet City daycare facility. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. A lawyer turned herself into the DuPage County Jail in late August following accusations that she falsified community service hours on documents for her client. 30-year-old Devin Luster is accused of delivering documents to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office that falsely showed a client had completed community service hours. She was charged with 6 counts of felony forgery. An indictment asserts that Luster, quote, with the intent to defraud, knowingly delivered to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office a false document apparently capable of defrauding another, being a volunteer community service documentation form dated December 16, 2024, that indicated the client completed 247 and a half hours of community service at a Calumet City daycare facility. The number of Americans filing new applications for jobless benefits increased sharply last week, consistent with a material softening in labor market conditions. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits jumped 27,000 to a seasonally adjusted 263,000 for the week ending September 6. According to the Labor Department Thursday, the government said this week that non-farm payrolls.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. This afternoon, sunny with a high near 86, with temperatures falling to around 82. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 59. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 85, with temperatures falling to around 81 in the afternoon. Currently, it is 84 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results.
Before the weather gets too cold, it's time to finish up those outdoor jobs. That's why ComEd wants you to know that electricity can jump from a power line to you and to the tools you're using. So maintain a safe distance from any power lines. You can also call ComEd at 1-800-EDISON-1 to have those power lines de-energized the next time you do any work around them. Stay smart, stay safe, stay back. ComEd, powering lives.
Looking for a seed buying experience that's more humanized? Ready to trade a company that's oversized for an independent brand that's right-sized? Searching for elite hybrids that have been optimized, tested in your geography, and localized? Did we run out of words that rhyme, so now we have to use metaphysicized? Maybe so. But if you answered yes to any of these questions, then it's probably time you get Wiffleized. Choose Wiffles hybrids this season, and let's get familiarized.
America, and good day to our friends around the world. This is a political talk show here on WRMN. My name is Dennis Sonar Green. You're listening on 1410 of some kind, whether that's 1410 on the AM dial or WRMN 1410 on the .coms. Thanks for being here with us. In this hour, we're going to walk through some news and some things that have been happening outside of the terrible tragedy of Charlie Kirk's assassination as well. Political violence is never the solution. It is definitely the path that nobody ever should take, especially when more peaceful paths are still open. A lot of people talk about revolution, or they talk about 1776, or they talk about whatever Archduke Franz Ferdinand, or any of the other things that happen, trigger and catalysts, and all of these other things. Even political leaders talked about peaceful revolution, have talked about peaceful protests. And even those that have said if peaceful protests aren't effective, violent, or the other type of side for things, it's all that's left. It should be the one and only last resort of all things. The fact that you can continue to say your opinion and not get thrown away or beat up or killed or anything else by the government itself says that there are still pathways and we still have things open. So please, we do not need to resort to violence. We do not need to hate each other. We need to come together as Americans. Just wanted to put that out there. No room for political violence. Again, especially when we still have so many ways to do things peacefully. Don't jump to the extreme. No one needs that. We all have to start treating people as people, right? Not statistics, not as numbers, not as voters, not as constituents, not as whatever other category that you want to put a people in. People. They're all people. Whether they're political people, political pundits, or homeless people. I don't know if some of you have seen this in the news, but Fox News host Brian Kilmeade apologized on Sunday for advocating for the execution of mentally ill homeless people. That's a weird apology, a weird thing to say, especially on the air. But he apologized for it. He apologized for it on Sunday. But he was advocating for the execution of mentally ill homeless people. In a discussion on the network last week, saying his remarks were extremely callous. And they were. They were extremely callous. He also said them under his breath. He also said them offhandedly, et cetera, et cetera. You want to read the clip? Read the clip. Or read the transcript, listen to the clip. Brian Kilmeade's initial comment came on a Fox and Friends episode on Wednesday and began getting widespread circulation online over the weekend. Kilmeade, a host of the morning show, was talking with hosts, and they were talking about the stabbing in North Carolina. So where a homeless and mentally ill man was arrested for murder, and the case received extensive attention on Fox following the release of the security video of the stabbing. Jones was talking on Fox and Friends on Wednesday about the public money spent on trying to help homeless people and suggested that those who didn't accept services offered to them should be jailed. When he said they should be jailed, offhandedly, Kilmeade said, or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them. Earnhardt immediately interjected. Why did it have to get to this point? Kilmeade replied, I will say this, we're not voting for the right people. And so during an appearance on Fox and Friends on the weekend show on Sunday, Kilmeade said that, quote, I wrongfully said they should get lethal injection. I apologize for that extremely callous remark. I'm obviously aware that not all mentally ill homeless people act as the perpetrator did in North Carolina, and that so many homeless people deserve our empathy and compassion. Fox News management did not immediately put anything else out behind it. But an advocate for homeless people said Sunday that Kilmeade's remark had been, quote, completely devoid of humanity. This is Christine Quinn, president and CEO of WIN, a provider of shelter and services for homeless children in New York City, and had invited Kilmeade to volunteer in one of the organization's shelter. This is the side of it too, is we're hearing a lot of messaging. We're hearing a lot of people talk about how it is wrong to speak ill of the dead or political violence or governmental violence or any of these things, and saying that we need to humanize people again. And then hearing this from people that are supposed to be in that leadership of media, the ones that are in charge of messaging. Matthew Dowd was fired for saying on the air that afternoon that hateful rhetoric can lead to hateful actions. That's it. Now I can pull up the exact transcript for you. But that's what he initially said. But in that exact same day, Brian Kilmeade can say involuntary lethal injection for the homeless, even to the point where the 3 words, just kill 'em, comes out in his broadcast. If we need to call toning down rhetoric, if we need to call for humanizing people again, this isn't the way to go. And thank you very much for apologizing. Thank you for apologizing. It should be done because it was a terrible thing to say. But talking about euthanizing, killing homeless people isn't weighted as much as saying that hateful rhetoric leads to hateful rhetoric. And that's where I think we're sitting at today in our political landscape, is we live in echo chambers so much that when the other echo chamber is so large and blows up and leaks into ours, we have nothing but disdain for it, contempt for the other echo chambers. How dare they cancel them? And we get to see where people actually hold their beliefs. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not pure and righteous in any kind of way. We all say things. We all do things. We all have beliefs. Where I want us to come back to is to be able to have a conversation with each other in good faith, to actually understand where our beliefs land, that our beliefs are so strong that we can apply them to anywhere, not just apply them to our team or their team or whatever people that are out there. It's the hypocrisy in the righteous that always bring them down. Pride comes before the fall, right? And I'm not going to claim to be righteous. I'm not going to claim to be the high moral or even ethical side of things. I can't. We're all just living here as best we can. But to take it from that side, to take it from the integral side, is let's at least use the same measuring stick for everything. Let's stop adjusting. Let's stop grading by the curb. Let's use the same measurement. Goose, gander. There's so many different ways to say that we need to go back to the foundation. I do not want you to be centered. Do not be centered. If you have a strong belief, if you have a passion, if you have a conviction, I want you to foster and build that conviction, that passion. Build it. But do not chip away at that conviction and that value and that virtue and that morality and adjust it because it makes your side look bad. Don't do it. Because like we had just discussed in the hour before, there are people watching and there are people that are being disillusioned every single day. because of the way that we talk to each other and the way that the politicians talk to us. And the way that we categorize people and the way that we use words as pejoratives. Calling people names by just calling them what they are. We use them as pejoratives because we don't understand them. Dirty capitalists, red commies, ignorant socialists. Using our words is how we stay nonviolent. And the reason that people get violent in any side, even if we're just at the bar, a lot of times it's the lack of communication. We ran out of words. We couldn't express ourselves. I didn't have the mental capacity or the understanding to articulate what I was actually trying to say. So they swung at me, or I swung at them. And when we use these words without understanding them, or we use these words or this mindset of dehumanization, you don't turn around and talk about involuntary injections, lethal injections for people. You say it for a group. Homeless. You don't say that the people are bad. You say those people or that group thugs. We talked about the war on terror. All they have to do is wave their hand and call you a terrorist, and they can do whatever they want. So why not use that in our political rhetoric? It's effective. And the problem is we are leaning too much onto the passions of negativity, hate, fear, domination, not the passions of the virtuous, hope, change, unity, love. It's so much easier to sell fear. It's so much easier to campaign on hate. It's so much easier to say, we'll own that side. It's easier. And so I'm not the biggest fan of Mr. Kilmeade. I appreciate that he speaks his mind. I appreciate that he brings on fantastic guests. But you can't say things like this in any kind of position, let alone one where you're in charge of messaging. I appreciate the apology, but I don't appreciate the sentiment. We've got some other news that's coming out this day and a few other things on the blind spot list. But first, what I want to do is just let you know about this weekend. I don't know if you know this or not, but coming up in just a couple days on the 20th, we've got America's First Responders Fest. If you're one of those people that absolutely love to thank a veteran every time they see him, you see the police walking around your neighborhood, you want to shake their hands. You wave at the fire department as they drive by. You thank a nurse. You see somebody who's reporting on breaking news and you follow them. That is what we want to do for First Responders Fest. We want to thank all of those people. You think when an emergency happens, it's not a big orchestrated first response team, flash team, all of these different things go into motion when there is an emergency, and first responders are there. They work in unison with each other. The blue work with the red. The green keep us safe. Medical, public works, all to help us in the time of emergency. I always bring back the Mr. Rogers, right? If there's an emergency, look for the helpers. When you think about an emergency, who are the people that you're seeing for the cleanup? Who are the people that you're seeing for the first response? Who are you seeing that's there to clean up and help? The helpers. That is what First Responders Fest is all about. First Responders Fest is all about recognizing those that serve the community in that emergency capacity. They're the first responders to mitigate a terrible situation and make it so that it doesn't spread. And so I want you to spread the word for First Responders Fest. That's happening this Saturday, September 20th. Go over to downtown Hampshire. It's 1 to 6 p.m. Rain or shine, the stage is set up to be able to play in a little bit of wetness. But rain or shine, we'll have it over there. Classic Car Show presented by the Eagles Club. That's Eagles Club 1047. It's over in Gilbert's. But that Eagles Club 1047 is going to be putting on a classic car show. Come on over. Take some of that food from the vendors, from the food trucks. Walk around. No sticky hands, though. There's going to be kids' activities, of course, live entertainment, Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones, mixed company band, Canyon Arrow Light featuring Tim and Joe. And, of course, we will have multiple first responder recognitions. So we want to make sure that you are over there and make sure that you are following all of the information. You can go to WRMN1410.com and see the entire flyer. The proceeds for America's First Responders Fest are going to go to a few different places. We've got Canines for Veterans. You can find more about them on Facebook. But Canines for Veterans provides service dogs to veterans and first responders with PTSD, TBI, and MST. And then we've also got the Illinois Peer Support Team. That's the one that is for both firefighters and police. And the fire department and the police department are never alone. They're brothers and sisters from across the state coming together to support a network for mental health, physical health, and fellow firefighters with trained assistants. You can find more at ilffps.org. That's a great place to find more information for that. True Patriots Care is another fantastic place that we support here. Jerry Christofferson puts a wonderful displays on for all of the different anniversaries, for Veterans Day, for Memorial Day. Check out TruePatriotsCare.com where you can donate and actually see a schedule of where some of these flag displays are put up. Is it dedicated to recognizing and supporting those who have served their communities as first responders and members of the armed forces. The foundation seeks to enrich the lives of these individuals and the families and support them in honor. Find out more at TruePatriotsCare.com. You can go and find everything about the First Responders Fest. You can find all about the where the proceeds are going to go and even how to sponsor. There's still a little bit of space that's left over, and we want to see you there regardless. for that classic car show by the Eagles Club, 1047, Rick Lindy and the Wild Ones, Mixed Company Band, Canyon Arrow Light with Tim and Joe, vendors, food trucks, kids activities. Find all about it at 847-741-7700 or give us a call at that number and check out the website at WRMN1410.com. When we come back, we got some more news and maybe a blind spot or two for you. Stick around, more Apolitical Talk Show coming up after this.
I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. The Elmhurst Park Board is putting to rest for the time being the summer-long dispute over whether to build a band shell at Wilder Park. On Monday, members agreed to spend up to $12,000 for more design work for the proposed band shell. The board's vote was 6-1, with the board's president, Kevin Graff, the lone dissenter. With its vote, the board is asking its consultants to draft plans for the three sites at Wilder: the lawn east of the mansion, the north rim of the old ice rink, and the rink's south rim. In late May, board members discussed the location with four, including Graff favoring the east lawn and three others opposing it. That set off a local movement against the East Lawn site, with residents saying the band shell would interrupt the sight lines to the iconic mansion. A lawyer turned herself into the DuPage County Jail in late August following accusations that she falsified community service hours on documents for her client. 30-year-old Devin Luster is accused of delivering documents to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office that falsely showed a client had completed community service hours. She was charged with 6 counts of felony forgery. An indictment asserts that Luster, quote, with the intent to defraud, knowingly delivered to the DuPage County Circuit Court Clerk's office a false document apparently capable of defrauding another, being a volunteer community service documentation form dated December 16, 2024, that indicated the client completed 247.5 hours of community service at a Calumet City daycare facility. The number of Americans filing new applications for jobless benefits increased sharply last week, consistent with a material softening in labor market conditions. Initial claims for state unemployment benefits jumped 27,000 to a seasonally adjusted 263,000 for the week ending September 6, according to the Labor Department Thursday. The government said this week that non-farm payrolls could have been overstated by 911,000 jobs in the 12 months through March. I'm Trey Westerberg on 1410 WRMN Elgin, proudly serving the Fox River Valley.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money, because you're in charge. Today, you're going to pay down your credit card bill. But you decide when you'll pay it. Before the due date, so those interest charges don't get you. But you decide if you pay it in full. But you definitely should, because, again, interest charges. With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural reference is only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free, for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-760-1845. 800-760-1845. 800-760-1845. That's 800-760-1845.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 59. Tomorrow, sunny with a high near 85, and temperatures falling to around 81 in the afternoon. Looking ahead to Wednesday, expect plenty of sunshine with a high near 85. Wednesday night, mostly clear with a low around 60. Currently, it is 82 with clear skies. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Hi, it's me, Flo, here to tell you that with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, you get 24/7 protection, so you're covered no matter where the day takes you.
Even I added too much water to the pizza dough day?
Yep.
How about getting a call from my daughter to pick her up at the airport because her boyfriend is unreliable day?
Especially that day.
What about finding out that one of my pipes suddenly burst in my basement day?
Progressive has every day covered 24/7 with the Home and Auto Bundle. Also, you have a lot of bad days.
Oh no, that was all the same day.
At least you're covered with Progressive.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Welcome back to a political talk show here on WRMN. I'm Dennis Sonar Green. You can find me all over the internet. Just type that in. Dennis Sonar Green, you find me. Find a political talk show on the internet as well. That is on your favorite podcasting platform. Just type in a political talk show, all 4 words, and you'll get the audio there. If you go to Spreaker, you can actually get the transcript too. If you're one of those people that like to read it instead, I type it all out, but I'm a terrible speller, so it's better to just get the transcript from over there. The other thing too is if you think that I drone on a little bit too much, listening to the podcast as well. You're able to listen to it in double speed or however you want to listen to it as well. Sometimes when I go back and listen, I listen to it at that double speed too, just so that I can make sure that I'm saying the things correctly and just to kind of spot check myself. We're talking about rhetoric. We gave a stern wag of the finger over at Brian Kilmeade. I mean, it's just, I don't know, abhorrent to say things like that. But you know, they are going to do what they're doing, and all networks make their own decision on their own people. So, part of that as well, Stephen King also apologized, as well. He actually had claimed that Charlie Kirk advocated for stoning gays, stating, "I apologize for saying Charlie Kirk advocated for it." Senator Ted Cruz called King a horrible, evil, twisted liar in response to those comments. Charlie Kirk had referenced biblical verses, but not to the state of pushing stoning. Charlie Kirk did say, "Thou shalt not lie with mankind, as with womankind. It's an abomination." But later, King deleted his post on X following online criticism and issued an apology for not seeking the proper attribution to it. And there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of taking things that Charlie Kirk talked about out of context. Now, by all means, you can imply, you can lean, you can do whatever you want to. The court of public opinion, as we've stated before, is just out there. It's the court of public opinion. There's no Fifth Amendment. There's no right to due process or anything. Like, court of public opinion is just what everybody thinks. And it does get bad when people feed into this, just like Stephen King, some other people. And what I think about with this, and I get a lot of flack from the left-hand side of this when I say it, but the fact of Charlie Kirk saying that to have the Second Amendment, we will have shooting deaths in America. We will. It's the logical conclusion to the law of having guns here. Just like if you have knives here, just like if you have cars here, just if you have lawn darts here. Obviously, it's the regulation to see how much or how little. But yes, at the end of the day, there is a number that will happen of shootings in a place that has guns. But saying that does not make you pro shootings. There is a law like every other law against murder out there. Just like there is a law, a constitutional amendment to the right to bear arms. And this is where people tend to yell at me about things, especially those on the left, my left-handed friends. My right-handed friends are going to go around, yeah, let's go, Sonar, you got this. Which constitutionalists, that seems to be the only one that everybody leans into wholeheartedly for the Constitution on that side of the world. The other stuff of free speech and due process and all of the other things of the Fourth Amendment and any of the other amendments, second, woo, let's go. But here's my thing with the Second Amendment. I, like most of the things that are on the second in the Constitution, should be put together as they're written. And as the Second Amendment is written, well regulated is there. I understand shall not be infringed. Cool, I get it. Shall not be infringed. But to me, that reads, the well-regulated militia shall not be infringed. Not the right to bear arms shall be infringed. The militia, well-regulated militia. And so that's where we would differ. And honestly, that's where most Americans sit. Common sense gun laws poll at over 70% every single time. Background checks, red flag laws, what I mean. Hate to be that guy that spreads the generic propaganda. Gun restrictions, yeah, red flag laws and solid background checks. That's what everybody's after. And so rhetoric and things and changing. Stephen King, I'm glad you apologized. But again, terrible thing to say. Because he did not advocate of stoning for gays. He just said that gay and homosexuality was immoral. An abomination. Didn't say anything about stoning the abomination. He just called them abominations. And this is type of the silos that we're talking about again. If you followed Stephen King, then you would see the terrible rhetoric that Stephen King had. If you followed Brian Kilmeade, you would have heard the terrible thing that Brian Kilmeade said. And it's not until these silos burst and leak into our other side that we actually start paying attention. And by that time, all it is rhetoric. To talk about our side that we did the hour before, Buttigieg comes out and says that Biden should not have run. Pete Buttigieg stated that former President Biden should not have run for re-election in 2024, like everybody else was screaming, expressing that it might have been better if Biden had decided sooner not to pursue a second term. You think? They really, I mean, I'll tell you, they really missed it. Like, they missed the bus on that one. What, Harris or otherwise, they did not hand it over. They handed over the baton so poorly that we don't even know who was going to pick up the reins. The baton, yeah. Stick with the same metaphor. Biden withdrew from the race in July of 24 and endorsed Harris, but subsequently lost to President Donald Trump in that November election. So you can read all about it on The Hill. I love reading The Hill. Next Star puts them together, high factuality centered Really good stuff. So it's a great read on that side. The biggest story, I believe, of the day right now, we're starting to get more and more articles published about it, but President Trump is deploying National Guard to Memphis, and he's calling it a replica of his crackdown on Washington, D.C. On Monday, President Donald Trump authorized the deployment of the National Guard, part of the expanded initiative to address crime in the city. The deployment responds to Memphis's longstanding gun violence and a 2023 record of over 390 homicides, despite recent police reports showing crime decreases in 2025. The president said the effort will replicate his prior crackdown in Washington, D.C., and include officials from FBI, DEA, ICE, and the U.S. Marshals joining a special task force. The president declared, quote, "We're sending in the big force now," and said, "We want to save these places," while Tennessee Governor Bill Lee endorsed the troop deployment. Order marks a test of presidential power amid the local pushback. Trump indicated Chicago would likely be the next for similar federal actions. ICE is already in the city right now. We'll see if more of the National Guard show up. Now, this is one of those examples, too, of the bias comparison, too. And this is why you got to read where your news kind of comes from, or at least step outside of your silo with this. I know every time that we talk about the news, we talk about the bias or we talk about everything else, but it's important to know where your news comes from and how to check the nutrition facts of your news. Ad Fontes is a really great place to do it. I love Ground News. That's where I generate a lot of the headlines for things, especially the political and national side of things. Ground.news is the best place to go to. And if you look at the bias comparison of the two sides of this report of the National Guard to Memphis, the left-leaning outlets frame the National Guard's deployment in Memphis as a replica of his prior, quote, crackdown. They're using words like that. Or deeply troubled to highlight the perceived suppression and civil unrest concerns. But in contrast, right-leaning coverage emphasizes on resolute crime crackdown, portraying federal intervention as a necessary, forceful response to public safety threats, reflecting the law and order priorities. Now, center-leaning sources provide that detailed crime statistics, which you're not really getting from either side, because they both have terrible numbers. 2023 was bad, 2025 is good. What number do you want to take? Which one do you want to lean on? The center side is going to give you most of it. But the political context, which is absent from the left, depicting the deployment as a complex test of presidential power amid the Memphis racial and political tensions. Again, ICE and the Supreme Court have now said that racial profiling is okay within the totality of the circumstances. So both sides actually align on the support from Governor Lee and the mayor's reluctant cooperation. So it's a blue city in a red state. And so Governor Lee is inviting the National Guard in. And then, of course, the mayor is fighting against it. If you want to read more about things, again, I highly recommend going to ground.news, especially if you want to read about the Memphis mayor certainly not happy about it. Mayor Paul Young is recalling the 1968 National Guard deployment after Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, expressed that he was not happy about the potential arrival and seeks to avoid repeating past tensions. So Governor Bill Lee is a Republican and a supporter of Trump. He expressed his approval of the federal assistance that's coming down from there. This one has even more articles about it. You're not getting a lot of right-leaning reports on this. This is more of a Chicken Little type of left-leaning side for things. Now, is it part of this this overall crackdown? We'll see. We'll see really what the Supreme Court says about it. But the Posse Comitatus Act says that we cannot send troops to do law enforcement here in the United States. Just what it is, however you want to believe, right or wrong otherwise. Let's go to the phone lines. I got somebody floating around over here. Hello, caller. Welcome aboard.
Oh, it's just your friendly neighborhood Dutchman giving you crap.
Hey, Dutchman. Anybody else wants to call in, too? What number did you call in there, fella? I'll let you be on the radio for a second.
What? It said 847.
847-931-1410. That's the one.
Yes, sir.
What do you want to talk about, buddy?
No, you know, I got to say something about this Charlie Kirk thing.
Sure.
All right. He's being unfairly, even though he's dead, he's being unfairly ridiculed. And some of the stuff I've heard mainly from the left. Now, I'm not taking sides, but, and you know how I am, okay, I'm like you. But the problem is, I think it's totally uncalled for. You might not like what the right is doing. You might not like Republicans or Trump. But this is uncalled for. And what disgusts me about my government is none of the Republicans and none of the Democrats are coming out and making a stand together and saying this is uncalled for.
Yeah, the governor of Utah is the one that finally showed up to be a big boy. Everybody else seems to just say whatever they want to. And then even then, the complete 180 from Nancy Mace is just mind-boggling. When she thought it was a trans lefty minority thing, she's like, the death penalty should be what this is. And then immediately when it found out that it was a white Christian kid, it was, oh, this kid has left, needs to find religion again and needs to be forgiven and all this. It's like, well, hold on a second, lady. Like this is the temperature that everybody keeps bringing up, man.
Well, that's true, and that's uncalled for too. It's just as bad. It's just as bad. The thing is, that I saw Sunday morning. I watch Sunday mornings a lot, and it's on Channel 2, CBS, I think it is.
CBS. That's
pretty good.
Was that Face the Nation? Margaret Brennan?
No, it was.
Was it the other one? Either way.
Yeah, it goes from that. It's from 8 to 9:30. It used to be Charles Grold on there. What's her name's on there?
Okay, what did you see on that Sunday broadcast?
Well, they're saying and this is from a guy, a professor from UIC in Chicago, that the social media is the biggest problem we have in this country. Is because there's no control. People say what they want to say, and it's just totally out of control. He said that social media has gotten so bad, nobody knows what's the truth. Nobody cares to even look into it. They would rather just bash each other. And it's absolutely right. And I've been hacked so many times on my phone, it's ridiculous. And then, depending on if you make a comment about anything, whether you're left or right, you're going to get nailed. I personally think, and it's not by the people running it, you can't say anything in defense of somebody, period, without getting ridiculed.
Well, because we've all got good and bad things we've said out there in the world. That's the other side of it too. Is just if somebody could easily go through all of my stuff and find all kinds of different things to take out of context. But the other side of it too is free speech is scary. Freedom is scary. I hate to be the guy that says that. I hate to be the one that takes up the torch of the Look, man, I'm not the biggest fan of the libertarians, but as far as the free speech aspect of it, we lock arms all day. Because we have to have that freedom of speech, that freedom to express ourselves. And here's the trick, Dutch, is good speech doesn't need to be protected. Me telling you nice things, me saying good things about stuff, that doesn't need to be protected. People like that. People encourage that. What needs to be protected are the things that people are bringing up with Charlie Kirk. Those things need to be protected. Now, does that dangerously shift the Overton window and normalize some of the things a crazy person might say because we've let crazy people say things? Maybe, but crazy people have been saying things forever.
But here's my point, okay? Mm-hmm. As a first responder, I had to deal with stuff like this in the past, all right? People do stupid things, and it's always because of stupid idealisms. It isn't because it's right or wrong. It's because they get this in their head from somewhere, somehow. And this is a beef I have with people that are in the, let's say, psychiatry field. Mm-hmm. Now, they get, this has nothing to do with you guys, but if you know somebody's going to do something like this, this guy is half-cocked, he may go off and do stuff, you'll find out 9 times out of 10 when something like this happens, this guy's already been to a psychiatrist and talked to people, and people knew it. Nobody comes out and says anything. It irks the heck out of me because people like me have to pick up the what's ever left. It's not just the family; it's all the people that respond.
No, I absolutely get it, but that's the problem with this preemptive type of side to things. If we just started, even then, not killing or not being violent to people that say things, but imagine being locked up because you said something. That's the issue. Is we cannot preemptively do it, and that's where when we try to pull this absolute this morality, right? When we turn around and say it's unacceptable, it is unacceptable to have children deaths. It absolutely is, but it's inevitable. That's the problem. Is when somebody talks about that, and this is the thing that gets me on the Charlie Kirk side of things, with him saying that and saying, look, it is inevitable if we have guns in this country that there will be shootings. The challenge is to mitigate that. The problem is that people take that out of context and then turn around and say, see, he advocated for shootings. And that's not the case, because that's bad faith argument. People that can't walk their way through a logical conclusion won't come to that. And then you know what you get with that, Jeff? You get the other bad faith question, and you say, well, how many children is enough for you to have your rights? It's just, I have my rights, and it is already illegal for people to murder each other. What more do you want me to do? That's where I think people are taking his words out of context.
Yeah, and this is where I have a beef with some of the Democratic side of things. Okay, because I've heard it straight out of people's mouth, and I've seen it on the internet. Because he's a Republican, he should have been killed. That's what a lot of people have said. A lot on social media. And that, to me, is uncalled for. I'm sorry. I don't care what age you are. Just because you don't like what some... See, what I'm worried about, the way this country is going, if somebody doesn't like what you say or what you do or what you wear, next thing you know, we're killing you.
We need more words, Jeff.
That's what's happening.
That's what it is. Thanks for calling, buddy. But we need more words. We need to be able to articulate the things that we can talk to each other about. When you lose words, that's when violence shows up. When you restrict words, that's when violence shows up. Have some free speech out there. Thanks for listening. Apolitical Talk Show, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. Coming up literally at the top of the hour, we've got some White Sox action going on. Don't forget as well, this weekend, America's First Responders Fest, Saturday, rain or shine, downtown Hampshire. I'll see you over there.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury